Hi friends, welcome back or welcome if you're new here. My name is Mali and welcome to day 3 of Bookmas. If you're wondering why am I surrounded by so many book stacks, that is because we are going to be going through every single book on my physical TBR right now. So a couple of weeks ago, I lost track of how many books I have on my physical TBR. Before I lost track though, I knew I had reached the 100 mark. Right, I have over 100 books on my physical TBR. I just don't know the exact number, and I think this will be a really fun type of video archive to look back at the next year and see how many of these have I read in the next year and how many of these have I gotten rid of, maybe, or anything like that. So we're gonna go through every single book in my physical TBR. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 book stacks surrounding me. I've taken all the books from my bookshelf that I haven't read yet, and I also have my book cart. So that's what we're doing today. To not make this video super long, I'm gonna go very quickly through all the books that I own, give you guys the title and maybe 1 or 2 reasons why I want to read this book. We might be here for a little bit, so grab a drink, grab a snack, get cozy, and welcome to the video. We're gonna start on this little stack here next to me. You guys can see, great. The very first book is The Shards by Bret Easton Ellis. I recently pulled this book for my December TBR, so I'm really hoping to get to it in that month. I bought it last fall thinking, oh, this is such a fall read, I'm gonna read it. Never happened, and here we are a year later, really hoping to get to it in December. I feel like it will be such a good book, such a good project as well, because it is a chonker, and this is one of the reasons why I haven't picked it up yet. Blue Sisters by Coco Memoirs. I am gonna be completely honest, I don't think Coco Memoirs is an author for me. This was sent to me as part of a PR box, and I said yes because I was really curious about the book at the time. I have been seeing it everywhere, you know, it was just recently published as well. I'm gonna be honest, I don't know when I will read this, but it's in my physical TBR, so we're adding it. Spoiled Creatures. This is a book that I recently got. I'm so excited for this one. I think I'll be saving it for the summer because the cover just gives me summer vibes. It gives me kind of like the Virgin Suicide type of vibes. I think this is about a women's resort that's more like a cult. That's all I know. Only Here, Only Now. This was sent to me really randomly by the publisher Harper Via. This is a coming of age set in Scotland, and I do love this cover. The Safe Keep. This is a book that I also recently got, and I'm really excited to get to this one. This is one of the few Booker long listed or even short listed books that I was really interested in. This is about 2 women who are in this house in the Dutch countryside, and it's queer. Whereabouts. I have owned this book for so long actually, and I've never picked it up. I do really want to read this though. I know so many people love this particular author, and I love this cover as well. It's stunning. Sarah Land. This is yet another book that I bought because so many people love this one. This is a short story collection in which every protagonist's name is Sarah. Kitten Tits. I think I'll be reading this book really soon for a video for Bookmas, so stay tuned. But I'm really excited for this one. This one has been compared to this movie, The Florida Project, which I absolutely adore, so I'm really hoping for some similar vibes. I'm really excited for this one. Undiscovered. I don't really know much about this book. I think this is something I'm having to do with Latin America, things in a museum, something like that. How. This is a short story collection in which all the stories are set in China. State of Paradise. This is sort of a literary sci-fi other dimension type of novel set in Florida. I'm really intrigued by this premise, and I'm really hoping to pick it up soon. 7 Empty Houses. This is a short story collection by Samantha Schweblin, and I absolutely adore Samantha Schweblin. I don't know, there's something about Latin American authors, especially Argentinian authors. I adore their prose and what they explore in their writing. This is one of the few Samantha Schweblin books that I haven't read yet, and I don't know why that is. I should really pick this up soon. Show Them a Good Time. This is a recent acquisition, and this is also a short story collection, and I don't know much about this one. I'm not going to lie, but I absolutely adore this cover. 5 Tuesdays in Winter. This is a Lily King novel that I haven't read yet. I've only read Writers and Lovers, and I actually own one more Lily King book that I haven't read yet. I really want to read more by the author though, seeing that I absolutely adored Writers and Lovers. Someone Who Will Love You in All Your Damaged Glory. That is a mouthful. This is one of my oldest books in my TBR. I remember so vividly on Instagram when this book blew up and everyone was reading it, everyone was posting about it, and I got swept up in that craze and I bought it. It's been sitting on my TBR ever since. I feel like once I got it, the hype was over, but I hanged on to this one because this is actually written by the creator of BoJack Horseman. So I was really curious that the creator also wrote a book. Choco Smile. This is a book that Aunt Carly recommended a couple years ago. I really liked her channel when she was talking about books. Now I don't know what the fuck she's doing, but this is yet again another short story collection, all being set in South Korea. I also have The Dark Dark. This is a book by Samantha Hunt, which I absolutely adore. At least I've adored The Seas by the same author. I haven't read anything by her and I really want to fix that. So I bought this at the Strand in New York City when I went earlier this year. So these are my Charco Press editions that I haven't read yet. In this stack, I have Dead Girls. This is journalist fiction about femicide and just how badly that phenomenon is investigated and taken seriously in South America. Homesick. I genuinely don't remember why I bought this one. I think it won some type of prize or it was nominated for a Booker Prize, if I'm not mistaken, and that's how it got my attention. It's been a little bit, I don't remember, but I do want to read this. The Forgery. I also have no idea what this book's about. I actually saw this book at a thrift sale in Puerto Rico and had never seen a Charco Press edition in Puerto Rico before. So that's why I got this book. This book started my Charco Press collection and it's an honorary member of the club. I can't get rid of it. I do eventually want to get to it. Next in the stack is my New York review books. I only have 2 books in this collection and I haven't read either. I really do want to fix that though, and I obviously want to keep collecting these books. So the first one is The Door. I really want to read this one. I think it has a very similar blurb to The Safekeep. I think it's about 2 women also living alone in a country house and they kind of like create a little something, you know what I mean? I then have Family Lexicon. I'm actually saving this one for summer. I don't know what it is about Natalia Ginsburg. She gives me like summer vibes. I really want to experience her in the summer for some reason. I think this is a autofiction type of vibe or even a memoir of her family, so I'm really excited for that. I love autofiction. So Saturday is a series of essays by Melissa Broder. Melissa Broder for me is sort of a hit or miss author. I've loved Milk Fed, didn't really care for The Pisces or Death Valley. I really don't remember either of those books right now. I don't know, I really felt like reading her nonfiction, so I bought it and it's still sitting in my collection unread. The Unwritten Book. This is another Samantha Schweblin book that I actually bought again in New York City when I visited earlier this year. This is a sort of an investigation into death. A YouTuber that I really admire and who actually introduced me to The Seas really enjoyed this book as well. I think she did actually, don't even quote me on that, but I know she was reading it and I remember being really intrigued by it. The YouTuber I'm talking about is Literary Iggy. I fucking love her. I also have, and forgive me with this pronunciation, but Ladies of the Rashmaninoff Eyes. This is a McNally Jackson edition that I haven't read yet. I think I only own 2 and I want to continue collecting their editions. I think they're absolutely gorgeous and such a good way of getting me to read classics is making them with pretty covers. Okay, next book I have is a book in Spanish and it hasn't been out in translation yet. The title is Chamanes Eléctricos en la Fiesta del Sol. I bought this one in Barcelona. This is one of the first books that I bought when I was in Barcelona for the very first time this summer, and yeah, I really want to read this. I have read Jawbone by Monica Ojeda and that book was insane. Monica Ojeda kind of scares me actually. She's just so violent in her books, but I also love it. Let's bring forward this book stack here. Too Much and Not in the Mood is a book recommendation I got from Cass. She really enjoyed this particular memoir or essays. I think it's an essay collection. I'm so sorry. I don't actually know. I think it's a combination of both. The way she was talking about this book just sounded so good to me, so whimsical even. It kind of sounded to me like Little Weirds by Jenny Slate, which I absolutely adore and love. Hoping for a similar vibe. Bibliophobia. This is an art copy that was sent to me and this is publishing February 4 of 2025. This is kind of like a love letter to books. This is a memoir, and it says, have you ever read a book that complicated everything you believed in and forever changed the way you read the world? A book that made you sit differently in your own skin? This is what critic Sarah Chihaya calls a life ruiner. Sarah's Life Ruiner was The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison. Once she read it, she could no longer pretend not to notice how alien she felt as a Japanese American in a predominantly white suburb of Cleveland, and she set out on a quest, the story that will show her who she was and how to live in an inhospitable world. That sounds so good. I'm really, really excited for this one. What is Mine? This is yet again another nonfiction memoir. This is a Brazilian lit though, and I think it explores our main character's relationship with his dad, who was a trucker who traveled all over Brazil, and I think there's a lot of like Brazilian history in this story as well. I particularly really want to get into more Brazilian literature. Good Girl, this is yet again another art copy that was sent to me. This is published in January 14 of 2025, an electric debut novel about the daughter of Afghan refugees and her year of nightclubs, bad romance, and self-discovery. A portrait of the artist as a young woman set in a Berlin that can't escape his history. Nobody's Ever Missing. This made my November TBR, and I never got to it. I'm really, really sad about that fact. I'm hoping to read it before the end of the year, but I'm not sure if that will be possible because I have too many books to read and too little time to read those books. Long Live the Post-Horn. I don't have any idea what this is about. I think this is having to do with a mystery and the mail. Boulder. I think it's about a lesbian couple who at first don't want kids, but then one of them does want kids. And I think one of them gets pregnant and she doesn't want to keep the child, and that sort of like complicates the relationship. No One Belongs Here More Than You. I am so excited to get to this Miranda July book. This is the only Miranda July that I haven't read yet, and I think I love Miranda July. I think she's a genius, so I really want to read this soon. I'm also scared though because I know this is like her first work, and sometimes authors' first works are not that good. And I absolutely adored all fours. So I'm just like kind of scared to get this one, but also excited. I really do want to watch Miranda July's movies as well. Only Alive on Sundays, and this was sent to me by an Instagram mutual. And I'm so sorry that I haven't gotten to this book yet. This is a book that was written with tarot cards. That sounds so interesting to me, so I still really want to read this. Thirst for Salt. This is definitely going to make my summer reading list in 2025. I'm so excited for this one. I know this is about a love affair set during the summer. I think it's an age gap relationship. Your Name. I know this is about a parasocial relationship between a girl and her favorite. It's either a K-pop idol or a J-pop idol. I don't even remember. This cover is like fucking stunning. The Night Will Be Long. I don't remember what this book is about. I just bought it because I love the cover. This is also published by Europa Editions, which I adore that publication house. They have put out every single Elena Ferrante book. They hold a special place in my heart because of that. Model Home. This also made my November TBR, and I don't think I will get to it anytime soon. I'll probably save this one for next year's fall. Rivermouth, A Chronicle of Language, Faith, and Migration. This is a super cool nonfiction and really want to read sometime soon. I just don't tend to pick up nonfiction very often, so sadly I don't have any time frame in which I'll be reading this, but I think this topic is really cool. This is about the US immigration system, border control between Mexico and the US, so really interesting read. I'm really sure it will be very educational. Die Hot with a Vengeance. First of all, love that title. Secondly, love this cover. This is a essay collection that I'm particularly interested to read about. I think it's having to do with the beauty industry. The Coast Road. I think this is Irish literature. I could be wrong, but I don't remember anything about it. But this cover is stunning. The Divorce. From the title and from the cover alone, I'm guessing that this is a family dynamic type of story. Sounds messy, sounds good. The Alternatives. This is yet another Irish lit that I'm really excited for. I love Irish literature. I really want to get more into it. I've only read a few, but the few that I read, I really enjoyed and loved. This also sounded really good to me. Three sisters who are estranged, or I think one of them is dead, and they come together and family secrets are revealed. Two Kazuo Ishiguro books. I have A Pale View of Hills and The Buried Giant. I absolutely adore Katsura Ishiguro. I think he's one of the few male authors who should be given a voice. I love his writing style. I love his stories. They're all kind of like sci-fi, literary fiction, and they explore the human condition, human emotion. Next on the stack, it's my modern Penguin Classics books that I haven't read yet. Agua Viva by Clarice Lispector, A Spy in the House of Love, The Hearing Trumpet, If Beale Street Could Talk, and Perfume. Both of these made my December TBR, so I'm really hoping that I get to them this month. Kudos by Rachel Cusk, last book in the Outline trilogy that I haven't read yet. I was really hoping to read it this summer, but it never really happened, so I'm saving it for next summer. Simple but yet so intelligent. I always feel smart and dumb when I read her books, you know? Motherhood. This is a book that I got at Free Little Library, and I love the themes of motherhood and family exploration in books, so I got this. Normal Women. This is a book that I've been avoiding for majority of the year. This is in my 24 for 2024 list, and I don't know if I'll get to it since we are already in December. Study for Obedience. This is a book that I bought at Shakespeare and Company, and it has a little stamp. Still can't believe that I did that. I can't believe that I went to that bookstore and that I was book shopping in Paris. Cecilia by Kei-Ming Chang. I absolutely adore Kei-Ming Chang. I'm holding off on this book, I think, because this is the last Kei-Ming Chang that I haven't read yet. And when I read this one, there will be no more Kei-Ming Chang to read for me, and that idea scares me. The Wall. This is a book that I bought at McNally Jackson earlier this year, and this just sounds so good to me. I know this is about a woman who's living in some rural countryside. One day she wakes up and she is surrounded by like an invisible sort of like force field, so she can't leave, and I think nothing can come in as well. And I think her only companion is like a cow and a dog. Sounds so good, but also so sad. I feel like this could be like a 5-star for me. Headshot. I think this one made my November TBR and I didn't get to it. I'm so sad. This is one of the few that caught my attention in this year's Booker. This is written by Rita Bullwinkle, which I actually have read a book by her before. I've read Belly Up. I actually want to reread that collection because I don't remember the collection very much, but I do remember that I really enjoyed that collection as a whole. And this book is about 8 girls who are competing in this boxing tournament. Narration follows each and every girl up until that point. Like, it follows them why they're in that tournament or why they got into boxing or like their personal lives apart from boxing, and they just sound so good to me. You guys know that I love a character exploration. I love a character driven story, so this just sounds so good to me. Homesick for Another World is the only Ottessa Mosh book that I haven't read yet. I haven't heard that many good things about this book, to be honest, so I've been kind of avoiding it, but I'm hoping to get to it in next year. Okay, next in the stack, I have some Elena Ferrante books that I haven't read yet. I'm not in a hurry to read Elena Ferrante's backlist. Once I do, there's no more Elena Ferrante for me to read, so I'm taking my time to get through my Elena Ferrante in my collection. First in the stack is The Lion Life of Adults, The Lost Daughter, The Story of the Lost Child. I actually started this book back in September. I got about halfway through and I put it down because I got wrapped up in some other book. By the time I felt like picking it up again, it was October, and I just wanted to leave it for the summer. I have a little bit of a tradition where I pick up an Elena Ferrante book in the summer. She's such a summer author for me. Like I said, I am not in a hurry to finish Elena Ferrante's backlist, and I'm even in less of a hurry to finish her beloved quartet. The last one in the stack is this gorgeous copy of My Brilliant Friend. This is a graphic novel adaptation of her first book in the quartet, which I have read before, so I technically have read this book before. Saving this one for special day. It has some gorgeous illustrations. I actually haven't flipped to this book much because I'm just saving it, so very excited for this one. Okay, this is the last stack we have to get through, and then we only have to talk about the books in my book cart. Sea Change. I bought this one at You and Me Books in New York City earlier this year. This girl's life who's going kind of like haywire, and she befriends an octopus or something like that. Brotherless Night. This one won the Women's Prize for Fiction. This is set in Sri Lanka. That fact caught my attention. I haven't read any books from that country before, and I don't know, this sounded really good to me at the moment. Sea of Tranquility is actually one of the oldest books in my physical TBR. This is kind of like sci-fi, dystopian. I don't even know anymore. I do want to get to this one. I know Emily St. John Mandel is such a beloved author. I really want to get into her stuff, so I'm hoping to really love this one after holding on to it for so many years. I'm supposed to protect you from all this. This is a memoir, and I initially bought this book because the author of this book actually made this lit fig magazine. I'll put pictures of it here. There's only 2 magazines out in publication before it got canceled, sadly. When I found out that the chief editor of the magazine actually had a memoir out, I bought it so fast. What is not yours is not yours. This is a book by an author that I've tried my damn hardest to get into, but it just can't. I don't know what it is about Helen Oyeyemi's writing, but I just can't get into it. I've hold on to this book because I have a feeling that I'll really enjoy her short story collections. This is yet another Helen Oyeyemi book. This is Pieces. I've also held on to this book because someone compared it to a Wes Anderson movie. I am a film bro at heart, and I love Wes Anderson. I'm hoping to read it. I'm hoping it gives me a Wes Anderson vibe. If not, I swear to God, I will never read another Helen Oyeyemi book. I hold a wolf by the ears. I don't know what this book's about. I think this is a short story collection. This is the same author of State of Paradise, which I really want to read. Pew. Catherine Lacey is such an author for me. I absolutely adore her works. I remember reading the first paragraph of this book and I thought, yeah, I'm gonna love this one. This is a 5-star prediction for me. This is Cursed Bunny. This is a short story collection full of horror stories. And I know lots of people love Bora Shung, so I got this one in hopes to find out why so many people do love her. And hopefully I love her as well. Oh God, okay, we have Paul Takes the Form of a Mortal Girl. I started to read this one and I put it down. I decided that I was not in the mood for it at the time. I'm hoping that when I do pick this up, I do enjoy this one. This has been on my TBR for quite a hot minute. I think since 2 years now. I might be coming up with a plan in order to really get to this book and some of my other books that have been on my TBR the longest in 2025. Keep an eye out for that. Subscribe even if you do want to see what my plan is. Flights. I have only read one Olga Tokarczuk novel, but I am so sure that she's an author for me. Really enjoyed Drive Your Plow Over the Bones of the Dead when I read it last year, and I really wanted to get more into her writing, so I picked this one up. How it works out, I bought this one because this one gave me Everything Everywhere All at Once vibes when I read the blurb. It's something about this couple constantly going through different dimensions in which their lives are different. In one they have a baby, in one they have some other thing and stuff like that. And it's also queer. It's Canadian literature. I love this cover. Another cool feature, it has the Shakespeare and Company stamp. I'm gonna say Milk Fed. No, that's a different book. This is Milkman. I bought this one sort of like desperately because I was at a used bookstore in Brooklyn that a friend took me to. And that bookstore was absolutely gorgeous, and I sort of wanted like a memento from that bookstore, and so I panicked and I got this one. Ever since I bought it, I've been avoiding it. I don't think I want to read this anytime soon. In this one, we follow a girl who's very unassuming and she likes being that way. She doesn't like bringing attention to herself. A local paramilitary known as the Milkman begins pursuing her. She becomes interesting and she doesn't like that at all. Violence brewing in the background. That does sound really interesting actually, so I should read this one soon. The Listeners. This is about a woman who hears a particular sound that no one else can hear and is driving her insane, and I think she finds another person who also hears the sound, and together try to figure out what the sound is, I'm assuming. Continuing on, I have Fight Night by Marian Taus. I'm sure I love Marian Taus. I read all my Puny Sorrows this year and I adore that one. So I'm really excited to read more of Marian Taus. This is, funnily enough, a book that I saw DNF a couple of months ago. I don't think I was in the mood for it. I also found her writing kind of weird when I first got into this one, but now that I have All My Puny Sorrows under my belt, I think I will more easily get into the writing style and appreciate it this time around. Cursed Bread. This is a book that has made my November TBR, I think. I didn't get around to reading it. I'm so sad. This is a book that I'm really, really excited to get to when I do. This is about a town in which strange things are happening, but I think the main focus of this novel is our main character's obsession and sort of relationship with the baker's wife. We are finally on the book cart. At the top, I have Our Share of Night. This is a book that will be read very, very soon for a video. Stay tuned. These are books that made my December TBR, so I'm just going to show you through them very, very quickly because I haven't read them yet. It's still not December when I'm filming this video, but I have The Secret Life of Church Ladies, A Sunny Place for Shady People, Slug and Other Stories, and The Little Friend by Donna Tartt. Walking Practice. This is about like an alien who shapeshifts or like possesses people's bodies, and I think the entire thing is an allegory for the trans body experience. I'm really excited for this one. This is also a very short one, so I feel like it would be so good to read it in one sitting. Things have gotten worse since we last spoke. I actually think that there are 2 books in this one. It says And Other Misfortunes, but the titular title in which 2 people are chatting about innocuous things, and I think it escalates from there. Really excited about that premise. The Manning Tree Witches. I bought this book for a video and actually didn't end up reading it in that video, but I am definitely saving it for next year's fall. This is about a witch trial in Salem, and I'm really excited for that one. I recently read another book about the witch trials, but in Germany, and I really enjoyed that type of historical fiction. The Coin. This is about a young Palestinian woman who gets involved into a scheme of selling fake Birkin bags in New York City. That just sounds really, really good to me. How to Love Your Daughter. This is a book that's been on my 24 to 2024 list, and I haven't gotten to it yet. I don't know if I will before the end of the year, but this is about a mother and daughter relationship that's very, very fragmented, and just that title alone is just stunning and so, I don't know, desperate. I so want to read this one. A Girl Returned. This is a book that I'm saving for next year's summer. Don't ask me why this sounds like a summer book to me, but it does. Girl who was adopted by this family, and then she's actually sent back to her biological family, but her biological family is complete strangers to her. As the Andes Disappeared. This is a memoir about this young girl and her family who actually escaped the Pinochet regime. I was actually really close to unhauling this one, but the first sentence of this book stopped me in my tracks and I just had to read it. So the sentence goes, the first time I decided not to kill myself, I was 7 years old. Gagged her body among animals. This is a short story collection. I've owned this one for a little bit. I don't know when I will get around to it, and I don't know much about it besides it being a short story collection. Euphoria by Lily King. Another Lily King that I haven't read yet. I really want to read more Lily King, like I mentioned earlier in this video, because I haven't gotten around to it. I was actually supposed to buddy read this one with a friend in real life, but we never did, and we talked about reading this one all the way back in March. I will be reading this one in 2025, with or without her. I'm so sorry to say, but I'll try to rope her in anyways. Nefando. This is another Monica Ojeda book. I think Monica Ojeda's prose is kind of, I don't know if dense is kind of the right word, but it's just a lot sometimes, and I thought that reading it in English would be a little bit, it will soften that denseness. Come Tierra. This is translated to Earth Eater. I have seen this title before. I don't really know what this book's about, to be honest. I know that our main character's mother is dead. That's all I know. My beloved Fitzgeraldo editions. I actually had another one around that I showed earlier, but I don't know where it went. But this is my Fitzgeraldo editions blue. I have The Emphyseum by Olga Tokarsuk. This is a new release by her. I'm really, really interested in this one. This is definitely a book that I'm going to be prioritizing in 2025. And then I have It Lasts Forever and Then It's Over. I know that my favorite YouTuber of all time, Leah over at Lover Pages, read this one and loved this one, so And when she talked about it, it sounded so good and so up my alley. I think this is about a girl who's a zombie, but she doesn't know that fact. And she's just like perpetually in a limbo, and she's searching for some love of hers that she lost. It just sounds so good. And it just sounds so full of longing and desperation and loneliness. It just sounds something I would really, really enjoy. So moving on, we have Why Fish Don't Exist. Don't know why I bought this one. Please don't ask me. I know this is a memoir or nonfiction. I've been seeing this title for many, many years, and I think I finally just like bought it because I've just been seeing it everywhere for so long. In this case, I think it's a little bit of FOMO that got to me, but Uya, this is translated to yours. This is actually kind of like the pre-sequel or the prequel to Time of the Flies by Clara Pinheiro. It's not marketed as a series because you definitely don't need to read this one before Time of the Flies, but the books in Spanish are marketed as a series. I don't think this one is translated. So again, you don't really need it if you want to read Time of the Flies. And if you do want to read that book, please pick it up. It's so, so good. This is kind of like the events leading up to our main character landing in jail, right? And then Time of the Flies is her getting out of jail. The next book is a book that I actually read before, so we're not talking about this one. Happy. This was sent to me earlier this year. I think I saw like one person read this one and they liked it, and so I continued to keep it. I think this is Indian literature, so I do want to read that. For that reason, I haven't really read any books set in India or anything like that. Some diversity in my shelves. Not that I have to look for it, because I do read a lot of diverse books. I like to think I am a woman of color, so I do read books centering the Latin American experience or the Caribbean experience, but I haven't really ventured to Indian literature or other cultures apart from my own. And I would really like to fix that. Okay, guys, we're on the last stack of books. Candelabria. This is an art copy that was sent to me. I think this is a 2023 release, actually. It was released September 19 of 2023, and I haven't read it yet. Mad Women. This is a quite recent acquisition. I'm not gonna lie, this was mostly a cover buy, but this does sound really, really good. This is about a woman whose past is completely unknown to her family. Her past is catching up to her past, and so she kind of has to choose between her secrets and her family, I think. Playing Bao. This is actually a book written by a local author, but it's set in the Dominican Republic. We have Bear. This is an art copy. Is this an art copy? Yes, this is an art copy that was sent to me beginning of this year. Haven't read it yet. This was published June 25 of 2024. Something about a bear, something about two sisters, and that's all I know. We Do Not Part by Han Kang. Yes, the Han Kang, the Nobel Prize winner. Congratulations to her. This is an art copy. This is publishing January 21st of 2025. I am absolutely gagged that I got sent a copy of this book, so thank you so much, Hogarth Books, for this copy. The most famous girl in the world. I'm gonna be completely honest. I said yes to this mostly because of the cover. I think it's stunning. I think it's a little bit outside of my comfort zone. This is a romance comedy satire thing, genres that I don't really pick up, but I did promise myself that I was going to read this because I didn't want to say yes to a book with no intentions of reading it. Another Person. This is a book that's been translated from Korean to English, so this is a women in translation book. This is set in a university, and I think there's a murder, and our main character is somehow linked to that murder. I have a Paris Review magazine edition. This is number 239, and I'm not going to lie, I bought this one sort of in a panic because I was at a used bookstore in Brooklyn, and I just felt like I had to buy something as a sort of like souvenir of that bookstore. At least that was my reasoning at the time, right? But I have been meaning to get into the Paris Review books. If you don't know, the Paris Review is a literary magazine, and they've been around for decades now. And then lastly, Women's Hotel. This was sent to me by the publisher Harper Via, and I said yes because the premise sounded very, very interesting. This is about a women's hotel in 1900 New York City. I think 1920s. Yeah, 1929. Ins and outs of the people living at this hotel, and I think there's themes of corruption and theft in this, so it sounds very interesting. That was the very last book on my physical TBR. I am surrounded by book stacks. I started off with book stacks. I'm still ending the video with book stacks. They are 108 books on my physical TBR. I am happy with that number. I don't know. It was definitely worse a couple of weeks ago, but I actually did a book unhaul, which that video is really out. It was the second day of bookmas, and I got rid of some books that were on my physical TBR that quite honestly I did not think I was going to get to anytime soon. Had no more interest in reading. So these 108 books, these are books that I do want to read. These are books that I see myself reading in the near time future. Yeah, that is the end of this video. I am so tired of speaking. I've been sitting here for like an hour and 20 minutes already, so I am gonna let you guys go. Thank you guys so much for sticking around. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you very, very soon for the next bookmas video. Bye!